Greetings all. I want to talk about this because I mentioned it in my other videos. And I don't always really explain what that means. When I say harmony, the harmony of life, it's like this, it's kind of, it's not the same perception, but it's kind of similar to the idea of, or it came out of the perception of what is a perfect life. Is life really perfect? Do we really believe that the Creator created a perfect world, a perfect life, perfect existence? If we do or if we don't, that creates the space of how we handle life. If you handle life in a harmonious space, what tends to happen? A few things. First of all, the synchronicities, how life flows, how you experience life, is off the chart. Like, there's so many things that happen. It's after a while, you're just like, yo, is this real? Like, is this really happening? And because this it's like, what? Is somebody playing a game with me? And then, you just understand that this is spirit, like, affirming you. Okay, so it's like, it starts to affirm you, okay? When you're making choices, when you're having certain thoughts, you will see double numbers, triple numbers, or a certain combination of numbers that's particular to you. Like, I have a friend who sees 410. I never see 410. They see 410. I see 1027. That's my birthday. So I see that. But I see triple numbers as well. And so, yeah. So that varies from person to person. That's one thing that you notice. I do believe that the creation of the earth and of our lives and how they go and flow is a, let me see, how do I say this, is the perfection of life. Like, I don't believe that there's things that happen that aren't perfect. I think by the outside perspective in this way of living where we put everything in boxes, yes, it does look very flawed, because it's like, oh, well, baby shouldn't suffer. Well, who is that baby? What energy is that baby? What spirit is that baby? Who was that spirit before they became that baby? You know what I'm saying? These questions we don't have the answers to. And if you try to live life based off of what you see in the 3D and that's it, and you're not basing it off of anything beyond that, anything that is unseen, that surpasses your 3D eye, and you're not looking with your third eye, you're not looking with a spiritual consciousness or awareness of what's happening, anything that goes beyond where your current mind sits, in this realm of what we call life or reality, then, if we're not looking past any of that, you're not looking to the truest, place within yourself, within existence. And so if you make judgments off of that, then everything is flawed. On the real, everything is flawed. But if you look at it for the truth of the matter, what it is, that we are multidimensional beings, that we exist on several dimensions, that we had a life before this life. And, if you believe in that, then these things in life, they are simpler. They become simpler. And most problems can be resolved with just simple soul inquiry, which doesn't take that long. It may take a day or two if it's something really deep to clear from your energy space. Once you recognize it and seek within yourself and resolve it, then that may take a couple days on occasion. It doesn't always take that long. It doesn't always take that long. Sometimes it really is just like a few minutes, like you recognizing what it is, you going to the root of whatever started this issue in this lifetime that you recognize, because you may have came in with it. It may not be from this lifetime. You might just be still manifesting similar experiences because you still had that energy within you as a spiritual being from your last lifetime. And so sometimes the issues we come in with, which is why things probably happen to children sometimes, is because we come in with certain energies, and children are not an exception. They create when they're here. And I'm sure people have noticed. Like, I noticed one time my son wanted Spider-Man. I don't really like Spider-Man that much. Never really did. But he liked Spider-Man when he was younger. And he wanted a Spider-Man toy. I was like, okay, I'll get you one. But before I even could get him one, he got 3 from 3 other places. 3 other places. His uncle, his cousin, they like, doesn't even like, never hardly ever gets anything. Got him something. Got him a Spider-Man toy. He ended up with 3 different kinds of Spider-Man. I was like, wow, okay. Like big figurines. I was like, okay. Then he wanted some Hulk fist that used to make the punching sound. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about you punching stuff. I'm gonna think about it. But he got 2 given to him. I didn't even have to buy it. Like, they came from other places. So our children, they create and they experience life the same way we do. They're not an exception. They're not an exception, you know. And when they come in with stuff, they experience stuff just like we do. And as them picking you as their parent, it's almost like they are requesting for you to assist with whatever issues, because maybe you have the same issue or had the same issue or are well versed in the issue, so that you should be able to assist them in their learning, or can or could possibly assist them in their learning. But if you don't do your learning and you don't do your soul inquiry, you can't help your child, because you don't even know probably that you either one have the issue, or you ignore the issue, or you give justifications as to why you are that way. But your children are going to be manifesting some of the same stuff, because again, it's all energy. They are manifesting again in the flesh into an energy that's similar to theirs. Like, my son is my oldest son is a Taurus, but his ascendant is a Gemini. I'm a Scorpio, but my ascendant is a Gemini. So when I see myself in him, I'm like, oh, that's me right there. We got that same energy match, you know. And when I see his dad in him, I'm like, oh, that's your dad's energy right there, you know. So I don't know what his dad's ascendant is, because I haven't checked. But I've noticed some, you know, when you see stuff in people that came from their parents. So, you know, that happens, and that's the same thing. And so when we go about these experiences and we judging these kids and, you know, telling them what they should and shouldn't do, and punishing them and beating on them and whatever else you're doing, it's like you think you're, you know, teaching them how to be or whatever. You know, you need to take them things into consideration. You know I do. I'm not saying you need to. I do. I take that into consideration. They're just little human beings. They're not any different from you. You want somebody to spank you because you made a mistake. You know, because guess what? If they don't get it from you telling them, and it's something that's going to affect their life, when they get to be an adult, where they're out here with their own legal rights and whatnot, as far as, you know, going to jail and whatnot, they're going to have to deal with those things. You know, they're going to still have to overcome those things, you know, and beating them into submission is not the solution to making them the best person, because they now don't get in trouble, but now they don't have no voice and they can't speak up for themselves because they used to be in being submission. They need somebody to tell them what to do, because their parents told them what to do and didn't give them no choices, didn't give them no options. So now they out here as an adult and they don't even know how to choose how to be themselves. You know, what are we really doing? Gotta ask these questions. You know. But anyway, I don't even know how I got all the way over there. But speaking of which, judgment. I had this crazy dream the other night, and in the dream, this sailor. We were in boats. We were in little rowboats, and we were going on this journey. And I was having a good time with these weird little elfin-looking creatures. I don't know, but it was good. And then this sailor just kind of swam up the side, rode up the side, and he was like, you know, in that old sailor voice that you see in the cartoons and stuff. And he was like, "Power is weak in the guise of justice." And so he started talking about. Oh, no. Well, really, that's all he said. Power is weak in the guise of justice. Now, I was like, okay, first of all, it's a whole entire phrase. I don't ever get no whole entire phrase like that, like all the time when I'm dreaming. Maybe when I'm awake and I'm doing spiritual work, but now when I'm dreaming, So I woke up and was like, what in the world? So I was like, what does that mean? And I was like, how does it apply to me? You know, I'm not one that's always like trying to seek out power. You know, it's not really like my game. So I'm like, okay, what does this mean? You know, and when I woke up, what I understood was that people think, well, okay, let me just start with this way. Justice, what is justice? You know, you got to look at these words they give you, you know. So justice is basically like one's opinion, or group's opinion. It's usually based off of someone telling them that, or it being a common perspective to hold in society, which, I mean, you know, just because people do it or think it in society doesn't necessarily mean that it's the highest understanding, knowledge, wisdom, or way to be or to handle things. And so that's something to think about. And then how does that play into when people are looking and justifying or passing judgment on a situation? How does that play into this balance of harmony? So what I was understanding is the idea of power. It's like an old way of thinking, an old way of processing things. It's like an old grid thought. Like, it's not something that we necessarily need to be subscribing to today with all the new energy and wisdom that's available. So usually when someone's having a power struggle, then that's applicable when they feel like they have something lacking. Some aspect of them is in lack, and they're trying to basically compensate for it in some sort of way. So, you know, that concept of taking your power back. Like if someone maybe did something to someone and now they feel victimized, and in healing themselves, which is really just shifting energy. So in that process of shifting that energy, then they're basically just now, instead of putting their energy into being a victim, they're putting their energy into being, you know, available to their God-given right or gifts of having free will. You're basically just saying, okay, now I want to take my energy away from that, and instead of putting it into me being this victim person, I'm going to put it into me using that energy to manifest things that I desire. I don't want to feel like a victim and that I'm not in control and that whatever happens to me just happens to me. Instead, I'm going to use my creative energy to create what I want instead of keep going by what I feel like someone did to me and that maybe I don't deserve better. Instead of feeling that way, I'm going to feel like, you know, I want to be free. I want to make my own decisions. I want to have this positive experience and that positive experience instead. That's really all of it is. There's no taking back of power. Really, you're just shifting your energetic attention into a different area of your life, from a lacking perspective into a perspective of the infinites that we are. The infinites that we are. So basically, anything that ever did happen was already a reflection of something within yourself. So that incident that even occurred that would have caused the person to feel that they were not in power, or someone took their powers because they believed, one, that it was possible, and maybe they had expectations that something might happen to them. Something might happen to you as an expectation. You're expecting for something to happen to you. Might happen. That means nothing to the universe. Like, you're saying to the universe, something happening to me. So whatever that something is, then you're putting yourself in an energetic space to be receptive to that experience. Even if it's something that you consciously would say you didn't want, you have to be aware that energy does not have a negative and positive. The infinite experience that we are is all inclusive. It's not something that says, okay, don't give her that. No, that's not how it works. It's like, oh, energy is going to happen. This happening. Energy is going to abuse. Energy is going to, you know, struggle. So whatever that looks like, that's what that's going to happen. So eventually that experience is going to manifest itself in a way. So yeah, all inclusive universe, which is the harmony of everything, is what I would say. I know people say the word balance, but to me, balance implies that there's a fair and an unfair. It implies that there's something unbalanced, but it's not. If all we're doing is creating, then there's just harmony, whatever that harmony is, however that manifests based off of the person's beliefs and whatever they're holding in their energetic space. So the word balance is not really applicable when it comes down to how life is. It's a harmonious experience. So whatever happening is to your highest good, whether it feels good to you in that moment or not. It is the harmony of the unfolding of the things you're energetically believing or feeling or thinking. So it can't be unharmonious if that is what you're giving to the universe to say, that's what I want to experience. How is it out of harmony? It can't be out of harmony if you're asking for it. Even if you're subconsciously asking for it and you're not aware of it, that does not make it an exception. It's going to be part of the experience. And so, power is weak in the guise of justice. The idea of power is more so an illusion because it requires for someone to not be in power. And that's never the case. You have been given the greatest, the greatest gift of free will. Free will is the greatest thing you could have as a creator. To do as you like, to feel as you like, to be as you like, to experience what you like, to do as you like. That is our greatest blessing in this human experience, because we can always change everything. We can always shift our attention. I'm saying change, but change is not really what's happening. You're really just taking your energy and putting it from one space to another. Like I said in one of my other videos, it's basically like if you're reading a book and you're giving your attention into the story, you're all into the story, and then someone says, hey, such and such needs to be done, and they call your name, and you look from reading, you stop reading, and you pay attention to what they're saying. That's just shifting your energy. That is really all that's really happening in this experience, because everything is energy. So, we discussed the idea of power and the idea of where those things come from as far as someone deserving or not deserving an experience, that judgment of what's right and what's wrong, having limited knowledge and limited perspective on why it's happening, is something that, we can look at within ourselves. Really the idea of like someone deserving or, not deserving, that's something that would limit our experience, limit our possibility, as long as we accept that understanding or that thought frequency or that way of being, that belief. As long as we have that as our guide, there is a limitation that we are placing on ourselves, because we have free will. So the limits that we experience are those that we manifest, those that we chose to have, those that we continue to accept day to day, because any moment, can change your experience. So you're accepting that experience in the moments that you are experiencing it. Okay. And let's see, is there anything else I wanted to say about that? Basically, yeah, that's it. Yeah. The idea of justice is just another game for someone's ego, and the best life and the highest good for you is provided in your ability to create on your free will and to shift your energy. So relying on your highest self when situations come up and making space for clarity and to see what it is actually the root of the experience, is where you'll find the ability to make those shifts. And the clearer and the breezier your life will be, the less judgment that you practice, the less conflictive energies that you experience within yourself and therefore outside of yourself. The more you let go of this idea of controlling things and feeling like there's a just and an unjust, and the more, peace you'll have, the more harmony you'll experience, the more space and opportunity you create for yourself. All right. So basically, just learning to honor yourself, honor your truth, and expressing your truest self that you are in this lifetime, and accepting, how that unfolds for you, and not being concerned about timelines, as far as how quickly things are happening. Also, in this time, things do manifest quicker. So the more harmonious and what am I trying to say? The more harmonious, the more spacious, like the more quiet you are inside, that opens up your heart space, which is where a lot of our creativity comes from, because all of our passion tends to come from our heart space. Yes, we do have chakras that are for creativity, but the bigger your heart is, the more connected you are to the universe frequency. It's like being in, like, if there's a I don't know if that's a good analogy, but it's like being and it's hard to talk about this without trying to talk about controlling things, because it's not about controlling things, but it's like the more you let go, the more the things you desire manifest. So it's almost like someone could say, the more you let go, the greater control you have. But if your goal is control and not letting go, you will reach conflicts. You will have conflicting experiences, because you're not looking to be in the flow. You're looking to be in control. So anytime something pops up where you feel like it's not in control, or you didn't consciously, in your awareness, attract that experience, as long as you feel that, the more you're going to continue to have those kinds of experiences. But the more you focus on letting go, the more you say to the universe, okay, I know that in me letting go, that you will manifest things in my highest good. Therefore, I have no reason to worry or to be concerned about what I manifest, because I know that this creation will be in my highest good. So therefore, I cannot come out on the short end of the stick, because it's for my highest good. And as long as I'm aware in that experience and I allow it to unfold and I see what it is there to see, I will allow more things that are fulfilling to me to flow into my life. There are things that we may believe that may need to come apart, to be released, to unfold, so that we can allow what it is that we say we truly desire in our consciousness to come into our experience. But if you got 50 gates in front of you and you try to tell somebody to come through and there ain't no way for them to get to you, then you can't get to your blessing. You can't get to your good experience, because you got all these blockades set up. You gotta take them gates down, take them walls down, take them blocks out the way, so that now it's open. Come on through. That saying, empty your cup. You gotta empty your cup so that you can have room for everything that you are wanting to experience. If your cup is full of a bunch of garbage and mold from stuff that happened from 25 years ago, There ain't nothing good coming into that old cup. You can put as much, clean water as you want in that junk. That mold's still gonna be contaminating that water. So you gotta go ahead and empty that cup. Clean all that mold out, get it all saged up, get it all washed out, the soap, scrub it up a little bit, put a little work in, put your work in. And then, it can be ready for all that goodness to flow. And then flow and flow until it can overflow. And then you can overflow into other people's experience and bless them with your blessings. Because a lot of times when you get blessed and you're really blessed, you just want to share. You're like, oh man, this is just so good. I need to go rub off on somebody because you know what? I'm just overflowing, and I feel like, I could bless so many people just, without even trying. It's just so much here that I have. So when you get to that place, then you get to that place of gratitude. If you can even get your mind there before you even physically see it, the quicker it can happen, the more it can come. So finding that gratitude space, finding that connectedness with universal consciousness, that connectedness with what they're going to call, the creator, source, Allah, God, whoever that is for you. Connect to that. Feel that openness. Feel that light fill you up inside. So that all you want to do is just express goodness. Express love, express gratitude, express humbleness, express all of that beautiful, wonderful, powerful, powerful, that word, energy, into someone else's experience. Fill yourself up so that you can overflow. Yeah. And so that you can embrace that harmonious experience. And you can know that. And that can be what you have only, And things can roll off you when they happen. If something happens, something should happen, it can just roll off you. You can just keep it moving. But anyway, that is what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to say. That's been on my heart for the last week. So I wanted to share that with you. I wish everyone the highest good to their infinite being experience in a harmonious, joyous, aware, peace, infinity.